Okay, thank you for coming out tonight on this hot day and the day before big fireworks tomorrow down in Valhalla and 4th of July over the weekend. So I know this is a tough time to come out, but thank you for coming out. It doesn't work without people showing up. So welcome to the Town of Mount Pleasant Planning Board meeting regularly scheduled for July 2nd, 2026, 7:30 p.m. First up, just go through, we're missing a couple board members. We're missing John Piazza, J.D. Suma, and Jane Abate. Everybody else is present. Just do a little record of attendance. Okay, first up on the agenda, adoption of resolution of approval for site plan application PSP 25-9 for the demo of existing buildings, construction of a new multi-use building with 12 proposed dwelling units, 1 office space, 2 commercial retail spaces, and a rear parking lot with 17 parking spaces. 423 and 429 Commerce Street, Hawthorne, 1112.5-1-27 and 28. Owners 423 Commerce Street, 429 Commerce Street, LLC. Okay, any questions or comments on that adoption or that resolution? With the prevailing sentiment of being no, what is the pleasure of the board?
I move adoption of the resolution of approval.
I'll second it.
Motion from Arlene and second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And aye from me. Okay, next up, minutes from the 6/15/2026 Planning Board meeting. Any questions or comments on those minutes?
No. Move adoption of the meeting minutes.
Motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And aye from me. And finally, 2-4 Summerlin Lane, update on application determination on scheduling a public hearing for subdivision application PSD 26-1 for the proposed lot modification from filed map 223429. That's Summerlin Lane, that was before us a few weeks back.
It was, all the issues were addressed, Mr. Chairman, and for whatever reason, we never scheduled a public hearing. So the court request is to schedule a public hearing.
Can I just ask a couple questions about that,
Sure.
even in the absence of the applicant? I went through the materials and I couldn't see what, the existing lots are non-conforming, right? Okay. Because because they're still non-conforming.
Right.
One, will they need variances? Okay. And 2, I felt like we're creating a lot that squishes the new lot to the back and will force any house that gets built there to be on steep slopes, whereas in its current configuration, there's a level area where they could put a house without needing much, steep slope impact.
Yeah, so they've demonstrated that they have a spot for a house that's not in the regulated steep slopes, but it comes back for a building permit, for a steep slope permit, or from you for a steep slope permit, if they need it.
Also, they would pick up a little bit more building area if that rear yard setback, that 50-foot rear yard setback, was on the other side. And since they have frontage on 2 streets, if they moved it, so that their frontage,
So
we could do something like that.
You have every opportunity to do that moving
Okay.
forward. It was simply that the material was suitable for a public hearing. You haven't rendered a decision whether the lot lines are appropriate yet.
Okay, thank you. So then we want to make a motion too?
Yes, we're ready for a motion, if that's the pleasure of our board.
I will make a motion to schedule a public hearing on the lot line adjustment.
Motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And aye from me. Okay, next up is a new public hearing. This is where we can hear from the public. And we have,
Waive the hearing?
yeah, we have to waive the reading of the public notice for 420 Nantahala Road. Is that a motion?
So moved?
Motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
JD?
Absent.
JD, I'm going through my list here. Eileen,
Aye. Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and aye from me. Okay, so it's 420 Nantahala Road, amend previous subdivision approval for subdivision application PSD 24-1, 1 lot into 2 lots for the purpose of developing a new single-family dwelling. Amendment included change to water service as prescribed by the Westchester County Board of Health. Application subdivision PSD 24-1, location 420 Nahagan Road, Thornwood, New York. Section block lot number is 107.17-2-16. Zone R40. Owner and applicant Nahagan 420 LLC. Architect Spearman Architectural Design PC. Attorney Philip Grimaldi. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we're here for the public. We've heard your talk before, so let's just be prepared to talk to the public because this is what we're here for. And for the public, if you'd like to move up closer and hear what's going on, feel free to move up. Okay, let's jump into what we're doing for this 420 Nahagan Road.
I was just going to say, we're here to answer any questions, like you said. Identify yourself for the record. Sorry, Robert Bufamonte, applicant, and then Hagan 420 LLC. We're here to address any questions. As you mentioned, this is a change from the original subdivision approval for a water main down Davidson Drive. We've submitted a work plan to the board as well as a letter identifying how this could be done safely, right, and maintain access for the neighbors. I won't go into everything, but some of the key points are limiting the open trench to 2 feet wide but 20 feet long at a time, maintaining roll plates on the side of the trench, providing certified flaggers, all staging, all spoils, all material to be on new lot 2, nothing to be stored on Davidson Drive.
So do you have a picture or a map or something showing what we're doing?
So last time I was here, I had the 11 by 17 map of the 300 feet of the water main. I mean, I have it here. I didn't.
Well, I'm just saying it's for the public, so, you know, they're here. I'm not sure what they know or do not know. So maybe we can speak to it at this point, but it's just always preferable to kind of have something to look at when we go through these deliberations. Okay, so you're putting in a water main because when you came before us before, the County Board of Health, you had a little problem with them, right?
So they state if you're within a water district, you can't have a drinking well. You have to connect to a water main. And we are in a water district. However, the town water main that services our property, 420 Nahagan Road and 5 and 6 Davidson Drive, isn't large enough to connect an additional house to for new lot 2. So we went through the process of doing a water main upgrade application. That water main upgrade application was signed off on and approved by Town of Mount Pleasant Engineering. It's actually on behalf of Town of Mount Pleasant, but us doing the engineering, as well as Westchester County Department of Health. But of course, since it pertains to a subdivision, we're here to prove that it can be done safely and efficiently. And in our letter, I want to be clear, we do say it's affecting 2 single-family houses, right, for approximately 9 days, right? And that is absolutely not to, if it was affecting one house for 1 day, we believe it's important. But it's important to put it into perspective, the scope and duration of the work and how many houses it's affecting, right? So it's a 300-foot-long trench, 2 feet wide, that we're only opening 20 feet at a time for approximately 9 days, which includes testing. So some of those testing days may not even have it open. So I just want to be clear that when we said that in our letter, it's not that it's unimportant how many people it's affecting, it's just to put the scope into perspective.
Okay. Any questions from board members?
So you're extending, doing a trench and you're extending a main that's a suitable size.
So I'm sorry, but the main is there. We're just putting it right next to it. This way, the disruption to water service is minimal to just the connection point. So the existing main is there. We're putting a 6-inch one right next to it for only about half, only 300 feet of it, tying the existing main into the back of it and tying it into Nahagan Road. That increased size allows us to connect one more house.
So
it.
the other houses off of Davis won't, they won't tie into the new line that you're putting in, or they will?
Their existing service from their house will still come to the existing line, and then we'll tie into our larger line about halfway down Davidson Drive, maybe a little more.
And can you describe the difference between what you're currently proposing and what the planning board approved?
Absolutely. So the lot itself, right, lot lines, front, everything to do with the lot and the subdivision remain the same.
Okay,
Exactly the same. The only change is the water service. So previously, there was a well on the property. Now, there's a water line running up from our property to Davidson Drive and connecting to that water main. But the difference is that water main was undersized, so we're upgrading it to Nanahagan Road.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from board members? So one of the big questions I think that was out there was during the construction of the water main, how are the people on Davidson? I know you did some thinking on that and you had some, I saw some of it. So can you just sort of enumerate what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I don't want to call it a concession, right? But constructability-wise, we're only opening 20 feet at a time, which is 2 road plates, right? Those could be put back onto the trench quickly. It's 2 feet wide but 20 feet long. 2 road plates could be put back quickly. This trench is fairly small. It does not call for some huge excavator, right? At the biggest size, like a 13,000-pound excavator, right? That could be put the road plates back on very quickly. We likened it in our letter to a red light, a standard red light, right? So if someone had to come in and out, the road plates go back on, the excavator pulls aside, people go in and out. Other, like I said, certified flaggers to get the cars through. Actually, had some notes here. Once again, I said this before, but it is important, right? It is a fairly narrow road, right? So the fact that we have new Lot 2, right, and we own it, and that all the spoils, right, all the pipe, all the material could be stored there, right? So the dump truck and the excavator sit back to back, right? And if someone had to come through, right, the dump truck pulls right onto new Lot 2, which is circa 200 feet away, right? The road plates go back on, the excavator pulls to the side. That's really important to note. How we could allow traffic back and forth, how we could store all the spoils, all the material there, the dump truck, and allow traffic. But by limiting the length of the trench, by limiting the size of the excavator, by limiting any storage at all, by employing certified flaggers, that's really all a 24-hour number, right? Of course, if there's ever any issues, for neighbors to call.
So let me just walk me through. So I live on Davidson and I want to get down there. So I have to wait for some truck to move for me to get past it to get back down to my house. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the dump truck, when the excavation's happening, which is not for the full duration, right? But in the event that the excavation's happening, right, which is the main disruption, right, the dump truck would pull right onto new Lot 2, which, like I said, is a couple hundred feet away, takes no time at all. The road plates would be pushed onto, 2 road plates would be pushed onto the trench, and the excavator would move to the side, and they would pull in and out of their property.
Okay.
Could we limit the time of that type of activity to not during rush hour when people are heading out to work or, you know?
I think absolutely. You know, listen, I'll say there's no secret, right? This has been contentious with the neighbors. You know, I'm a contractor in town. I would say in normal situations, they would have you know, a cell phone number to say we're leaving our house in 5 minutes, right? But I'm just saying, like in normal situations, this unfortunately is not going that way. But we can limit the time, right? We could start a little bit later. Whether, you know, normal start time, say 8 o'clock, we could certainly start at 9 o'clock. We're open to suggestions like that.
But there's also the potential for emergency situations, right, with ambulance and fire.
Right.
So we have to think about that too, because if an ambulance needs to get down to one of the homes on Davidson, and now we have to wait for this truck to move, those minutes can create a problem for the person that's being, you know, rescued or helped.
Right. So I think for emergency vehicles, first of all, it can be pulled back on very quickly, right? I understand every second will count in an emergency situation, right? And let's think realistically, right? In case of a fire, right? Of course, we would know about that, and the road plates would be on way before any volunteer fire truck arrived, right? In the case of an ambulance, right? I believe police or Westchester EMS would show up first, right? And the road plates would be deployed once again in you know, 90 seconds is what we say in our letter. So for emergency vehicles, I think we would know about the emergency. We would be able to put the road plates back. And also, we're not depending on this, but it's a 2-foot wide trench, right? So emergency vehicles with trained drivers and with flaggers if needed, I strongly believe could navigate, an emergency vehicle's 20 feet long, so it's essentially the length of the trench, right? And we submitted wheelbases in excess of 6 feet, right, from inside to 6 feet. So if needed, I think that would be a backup plan in a very, very unknown quick emergency, which, I honestly don't see, but is an option for that. But, in reality, a fire we would know about, even an ambulance situation, there would be police or EMS first that would allow us to get these road plates back in plenty of time.
Okay, any other questions?
For the trench, are you gonna saw cut that? How are you opening that up?
Absolutely. So all that saw cutting could happen ahead of time, right, for the entire trench to limit, like Aileen said, the disruption of digging. Saw cutting doesn't disrupt anything. You could drive over a saw cut road, of course. So we could do all that ahead of time and really try and limit the actual excavation activities.
I think you're describing a situation that's not unlike, all of us wait at flaggers all the time around town for construction going on, whether it's tree trimming or, utility work that we have to wait until,
So,
it's
so
okay to pass.
Yeah, so I would agree. And this situation is, like I said, with the two road plate situation, limiting, like I said, I don't want to call it a concession, right? But let's be honest, if I was doing this most efficient way as a contractor and really thinking about only cost, we would open this whole trench up, right? We'd have dirt everywhere. You'd never be able to get down the road.
How wide is Davidson?
Those pictures are good.
It's double the width of the car in this one.
15 feet? Thank you.
Yeah, we measured 16, but
Okay.
So when you excavate your 20 feet, you install your pipe, then are you backfilling or the trench stays open and that remains plated, then you do another 20 feet where you connect your pipe?
that's correct.
So at some point, you're going to have the whole excavation covered with roadway plates.
Correct, because due to testing requirements, I don't think we'd be able to fully backfill and temporarily restore. We'd have to temporarily restore without road plates, so I don't think that's an option, but eventually the 300 feet would be completely road plated.
And these plates get pinned when you're at the end of the work shift?
We certainly could pin them and do cold patch to make sure there's around
And if
that.
they shift, there's an emergency number that the police or somebody can reach out and then you respond within a certain time frame.
100%. So we, in our plan, we offered the 24-hour number for anything such as emergencies or access or anything like that. We didn't offer exactly the time response, but it would certainly be timely, especially if it was a safety condition.
Does the new main go right down the middle of the street?
For all intents and purposes, it's not down the middle. It's off to the side. We just have to avoid the existing utilities because there is sewer and water down the street. So it's a little bit off to the side, but the road plate would need to be put back on to pass.
And, go ahead, Walter, you have another question?
No, go ahead. I'm just still thinking this through as to.
And how do we
realistic.
how do we restore the street back to where its original?
Right. So that'll certainly come up, I'm sure, tonight.
Yeah.
It is our position right now that the trench itself needs to be restored to full depth, standard, 1 foot wing back, full depth asphalt restoration, right? It's not a town-owned road. I know town requires curb to curb, but as far as we've been told ad nauseum that it's not a town road.
So are you gonna let me just cut to the chase? You're gonna pave the entire road, or are you gonna pave just where you dug up?
Right now, the proposal is to pave full depth what we dug up. If that needs to be altered, if there's a concession to make people happy, we can entertain that. But we
Well,
feel like that's
why
what
would we not do that right from the beginning? Because if we think that's going to be a better experience for the neighbors, why would we not just do that right from the beginning? Because here's the thing, you're going to be digging up the road, trenching it out, and now the integrity of that street is now compromised because now we have deferring asphalt and a cut in the asphalt,
Mhm.
and it doesn't look clean like it does today.
It is in poor shape today, and we can offer mill and pave for the sides of the trench, full depth asphalt at the trench and mill and pave for the remainder, if that is something that needs to be offered.
Now, that's something I don't know a lot about, like, and I think, Pat, like, if we were to pave the entire road, the only thing I do know is not all asphalt is the same.
Yeah, so what we normally have is applicant indicated. We would require on our roads curb to curb, town standard improvements. That's the standard. It's a private road, so there's a little distinction with respect to that.
But
But I
those-
think if the applicant's agreeing to meet our town roadway standards, that would be what we would do.
Yeah.
Curb to curb, town standard.
Typically, in highway construction, roadway, street construction, depending on the depth of the excavation and the quality of the compaction, you get settlement. So for some time after the street is left alone, it's allowed to consolidate on its own with traffic, then the contractor comes back, takes out all the temp asphalt, and then repaves. Is that your plan as well, or are you just gonna finish it, and then 6 months later, these people are gonna be going down the street, giving their shock absorbers a run for their money?
Yeah, so that's certainly not our plan, right? That's, let's be honest, right? I'm gonna be trying to sell a brand new lot on that same street with a driveway, right? So that's the last thing I would want as well. My plan right now is proper compaction, binder, right? You know, and top, you know, as per standard full depth asphalt. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not an expert on the exact, what exactly happens, but I know proper compaction, I know binder, I know all that stuff. If it needs to sit for a while, whatever the standard is that needs to be in the resolution, we're open to that. Like I said, I'm used to proper compaction, binder, and top. So Walter, what we would normally do if this were a public road is there would be a bond that would be posted to ensure that the road is satisfactory. This is a private road, so we wouldn't have the same ability to impose a public bond. However, the applicant could agree to bond in case, or provide remedy if that were the case. So there's a way to negotiate that.
So we protect the town by requiring it to be done side by side. So if we don't do it in this case, then we're passing on that future expense to the people who are
Correct.
or in on that maintenance agreement. Okay.
Once again, I want to be clear, you know, maybe we weren't clear on it now, but in terms of a resolution, when, and hopefully we get to that, we're certainly open to what that looks like. I mean, I bond, and, you know, like I said, I'm a contractor, I bond this stuff all the time, so I'm able to do that if that is something that should be in the resolution and makes everyone happy.
Okay, any other questions from board members? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, so hold on, we have a public hearing. So that means we're here for the public to talk. So if the public would like to speak, just raise your hand. We'll give you a number. And if you have a number, you can speak. If you don't have a number, you can't speak. So we'll start off with number 1, the guy in the suit. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Okay. You guys work it out. Everybody look it up. And I have to say, anybody wearing a suit, I said to Mr. Cleary the same thing. I give you credit on a day like today. And Mr. Grimaldi, you as well.
Uniform, I guess. 3 pages here, I apologize. Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michael Sheridan, attorney with Snyder & Snyder, the attorneys for Gerard and Marianne Pagello, owners of 6 Davidson Drive, which is at the end of Davidson Drive on the opposite of Nanny Hagen Road. Here tonight in connection with the amended application filed by the applicant. First, I just want to mention, to the extent that this board is concerned about the public hearing, for some reason the notices for this hearing were mailed from North Carolina. They took a little while to get here. I will say that my client did receive it, but received it yesterday. My understanding is that some people may not have even received it yet, and that to the extent people received it yesterday or the day before, as the chairman mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, it is a holiday weekend. It's also over 100 degrees, which may have prevented people from showing up who have an interest. I don't know that, but it is a possibility. I just hope the board keeps that in mind, perhaps keeping the public hearing open to the next meeting to allow people who are perhaps not in town on this holiday weekend and only received notices at some point this week to be able to come and give their comments. I also want to mention, I believe I mentioned the last time I was here, there is ongoing litigation with this application, and one of the reasons the ongoing litigation is in connection with whether this should be an amended subdivision or restarted subdivision. Because as this board is hopefully aware, as I discussed last time and in my letters to this board, the approval resolution that this board provided to the applicant back in the beginning of 2025 expired. There is a provision in your code, there is a provision in New York State town law, and that allows for, and there is a provision, I believe, even in your approval resolution that allows for the applicant to seek extensions to its subdivision approval. The applicant did not seek any extensions within the time that the subdivision approval was valid, which was 180 days. Specifically, condition 1 of your subdivision approval says within 180 days, they shall submit the final subdivision plat. They did not do that. They did not seek any extensions. Courts have found that if you don't meet the condition within that time or request the extensions, which I understand requesting the extensions is a fairly quick process. I've seen it on other applicants do it on your agendas. I've been here for some meetings where it's happened. It's usually a quick turnaround. That wasn't done. The application, as far as we're concerned, has expired, which means they need to start again. This should not be an amended subdivision application. This should be a new subdivision application. And you should have to go through the process again for everything.
And that's in the courts, right?
That is in the courts,
So
but again,
the courts can do their thing, and
well, they can, but we would ask this board to refrain from making any determination until the court's made its determination, because then you could have the case where there is, conflicting determinations, one by this board, one by the court. If you approve the amended subdivision and the court says, no, it's expired, then we have conflicting approvals out there, conflicting determinations. So we would request that this board not proceed and make a determination until such time as the court has had its time to come to its conclusion. Second thing I'd like to mention is that, which was not mentioned by the applicant, is that now that there's a water main being put in, there's going to be some disturbance to a existing wetland. There is a stream that is identified as a federally regulated wetland that crosses 412 Nannyhagen Road, and then actually crosses 420 towards the front and drains down towards the Kensco River reservoir. This is now something that is going to be something that they're going to be disturbing, that this board needs to take a look, needs to take a review, a secret review, a hard look to make sure that, one, that it's not going to, that the disturbance is not going to impact the wetland in any negative way. Two, if there's any wetland permits that are needed, either through DEC or local wetland permits, and who's making that review and determination if they've provided the information for that. So we would request that this board take the time to review the impact to that wetland, which is, again, on 412 Nannyhagen Road, and refrain from closing the public hearing or making a determination tonight. Interestingly, on the application that was received for this subdivision amendment at this time, it says on it there are no wetlands located on Lot 2. And whether that's true or not, I'm not going to say, but the wetland that I'm talking about is not located on Lot 2. It's located, again, on 412 Nannyhagen Road, which is the lot that is in front of or between Nannyhagen Road and where Lot 2 would be. So that is something I would request that this board take a hard look at that before they proceed. We're also in receipt of a letter from Mr. Bufamonte that goes through a few things, some of the things I have already mentioned, but delves into other points that I just want to go through, hopefully briefly. Some of the things seem to be false, for lack of a better term, that he indicates. First, in his letter, he states that the appropriate parties from DEC were informed about the original subdivision, unclear about that, and have now also been informed about this amended subdivision. That seems to be not true, as my client, Mr. Pagello, has reached out to DEC himself and received an email this morning, which I have copies of if you'd like to see it, from Ashley Johnson, who's the regional attorney for the NYSDEC, and she states that she has not received any permit application or correspondence from the project sponsor for the proposed project. Again, that's from this morning. I also have an email from DEP that Matt Gianetta, the Chief Regulatory and Engineering Program Division for NYC DEP Bureau of Water Supply, who is interested because it's, located, the property is located right above the Kensico Reservoir. They own the property adjacent to where Lot 2 is going to be. He has been in contact with the town engineer. We don't have an indication of how far or what discussions they've had, or if there's going to be an issue, if DEP is going to have an issue or require any concessions. So I would say that at this time, until DEC has been notified properly, and until the board has received the comments and conclusions of the discussions between your town engineer and the DEP, that you not close the public hearing and you not make a determination tonight, because we'd love to see what comments they have and have the ability to make our own comments at the public hearing in connection with that. Another instance of what appears to be incorrect information is that in his letter, Mr. Bufamonte states that the town currently maintains an existing water main within Davidson Drive in substantially the same location as the proposed upgrade. The town does not maintain that water main. That is not a town water main. That is, the main is maintained by the property owners around that property. Pursuant to their deeds, there's a 1/3 interest in maintaining the road and the water main, and that is 5 Davidson Drive, 6 Davidson Drive, and 412 Nannyhagen Road. They maintain this water main. It is not a town water main. So there's no ability for someone, or there should be no ability, for someone outside of those 3 people to come in and start changing it. It's on 412 Nannyhagen's property. It's owned and maintained by 412 Nannyhagen, 5 and 6 Davidson Drive. It is not a public water main that somebody could come in and just change. Additionally, this was back in August 5th, 2024, your town engineer basically confirmed this when he gave his engineer memo that said, in a review of our records, we're unable to locate the town water utility easement for the water main installation located within for Davidson Drive. It is recommended this easement be secured to the town at this time when an HOA is established for maintenance and operation of a private road. No HOA is currently proposed to be established, and the easement has not, from my knowledge, nobody, 412, 5 or 6, none of them, is my understanding, have been contacted to secure that easement. So your town engineer says that should be done. It hasn't been done. Additionally, even Mr. Bufamonte seemed to agree with the town engineer when, in correspondence with the New York State Department of Health, he indicated that based on the deeds and survey, Davidson Drive private road is actually owned by abutting properties, which is not a private road, but it's a right-of-way easement. But the important part that he gets to is, without a current recorded utility easement for Davidson Drive, installing a new water main would require extreme difficult and timely legal work to establish this easement. So he admitted to the Westchester County Department of Health that an easement needed to be established in connection with locating the water main on Davidson Drive. Again, there's been no effort made to establish this easement, and we're not aware of any easement because it would need to be established with the owners of 412 Nannyhagen, 5 Davidson Drive, 6 Davidson Drive, the people who are currently in charge in charge of maintaining the road and the water main. So again, We request that this board refrain from making a decision in this matter until such time as the easement recommended by the town engineer and noted as required by the applicant is obtained by the applicant. The construction plan, which Mr. Bufamonte just talked about. Again, in the construction plan, one of the things that is not correct, it says that currently, the town of Mount Pleasant currently owns and maintains the water and sewer mains on Davidson Drive. As I just stated, that is not true. Another statement that appears to be false is that he states in his letter that emergency vehicles, ambulance, fire apparatus can safely straddle the trench if required. That is what Mr. Bufamonte is saying, and it's unclear if he's correct at this time. We had requested that the applicant reach out to fire department or emergency services to get a determination on whether it is and they can straddle that or they can maneuver it, or the plan that is set up in the construction plan is something that's acceptable to the emergency responders. That appears to have not been done. Mr. Bufamonte in his letter states it's not realistic for service providers to issue advance guarantees regarding access under every possible circumstance. We'll admit that's true, not every possible circumstance. We're not looking for every possible circumstance, just the likely circumstances. And I think the first responders can determine what the likely circumstances are as they do this on a regular basis. What Mr. Bufamonte seems to be saying is that because the fire department will not comment on every possible circumstances, they shouldn't be consulted at all. We disagree. We think the first responders need to be consulted, need to be brought in, and need to confirm that the construction plan is something that they can work with and that will be acceptable to them in the event of emergency. Mr. Bufamonte says, we believe emergency access can be safely maintained, and we disagree. We believe that first responders should make that determination. In fact, my client, Mr. Pagello, recently reached out to Thomas Owen, chief of the Thornwood Fire Company, who indicated that he did not have a copy of anything, but including the construction plan, and indicated to Mr. Pagello that the Board of Fire Commissioners meets on July 8th, and he would do his best to try and raise it with the Board of Fire Commissioners at that time. So again, we would request that this board not close the public hearing and not make a decision tonight until such time as first responders, fire department, police, ambulance can give its opinion on the matter. Additionally, this town's code section A227-8D requires notification of the substance of the proposed use to be provided for an application. Those notifications need to go to fire protection district having jurisdiction, which we confirmed that they didn't get notification. Water district, sewer district, sanitation, town supervisor, a list of things that I think when we originally did this, that was not provided initially, and it was something we had to force the applicant to send out those notifications. So at this time, to the extent they weren't done, which upon our information and belief they weren't done, that we would request this board require the applicant to send out those notifications pursuant to the code. Almost done. A couple more pages. Another thing is an updated
couple more pages.
an updated survey. The underlying survey for this, we've mentioned this before, but we think it's important. The underlying survey for the property is over 20 years old. That is 2 decades worth of not having a survey. Circumstances change on properties. Nobody knows exactly what's changed. What TC Merritt's provided was a map. What TC Merritt said on its map was, this is a map that's based on a survey 20 years ago. Section A227-31-A3 provides that a preliminary plat shall include the location of all existing structures plus an accurate topography no more than 2 feet. Moreover, the topographical data shall be determined by a field survey. The field survey similar to, which wasn't similar to a survey that we're asking for. Also, the Mount Pleasant website, the planning board application requires an updated survey. On your own webpage, this planning board has requested an updated survey, hasn't received one, still is dealing with one that's 20 years old. One of the final things I want to talk about is there's several deficiencies in the application itself. I mentioned one of them before. Another one is Near the bottom of page 1, the subdivision application, the applicant answered yes, indicating there are existing easements or covenants present, and they will either remain or new CNRs are proposed. In connection with that, the subdivision application requires, if yes, attach copies. No copies were attached. It's unclear what, and I'm curious myself, what easements or covenants they were talking about. So I would request that this board require the applicant to provide whatever easements or covenants they were talking about, so we have time to review them, and if need be, comment on them. So that is one of the things that I think was missing from their application. So just to summarize, this matter is before the court because it's our opinion that this application is expired. They would need to do a new application. Seeker obligations, we would like you to take a hard look now that there is they are impacting a stream that crosses 412 Nantahagan Road. The board and its consultants need to communicate with DEC and DEP to the extent that anything's required. They should make sure that that is completed. This board needs to obtain copies of any local or state wetland permit to the extent it's required. The applicant needs to provide those easements. The board needs to obtain confirmation in writing from emergency services, fire, police, and ambulance that all emergency service vehicles, including the vehicles of fire department, volunteer fire department personnel, because that's my understanding when I see volunteer fire department show up. It's not always the big truck. Sometimes it's a car, several cars that show up first. They need to be able to straddle that or mark the road as well. That this board obtain an updated survey and that they receive an amended application from the applicant, or actually, in our opinion, new application that corrects all the deficiencies. So we would ask that at the end of tonight's meeting, this board not close the public hearing, this board keep it open so that all those deficiencies and additional information can be compiled by this board, reviewed by this board, sent out to the public that is interested in this application so they have time to review it and come to comment on it. There's a lot of information that we still don't have yet, a lot of unanswered questions, and we feel like we need time to review and respond to all of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2. Welcome. Thank you for coming out. Just grab the mic and
Good evening, Mr.
do,
Chairman.
do your thing.
My name is Carmine Iannaccino. These are my 2 sisters. We are the owners of 412 Nantahagan Road. I want to give you a little history about Nantahagan Road. I shouldn't say Nantahagan, about Davidson Drive, okay? Mr. Buffamonte mentioned a lot of things to you about the trench that he's going to dig, how 300 feet of it is going to be roughly the length. Well, what he didn't mention to you, unfortunately, is that 200 feet of that sits on our property. We own the road. You can call it a private road, you can call it whatever you want. It's a right-of-way. It's basically an elaborate little driveway to give access to 5 and 6, okay? Our home faces Nantahagan Road. That's why we have the 412 address. But some 200 feet of that is on our property. The whole road is on our property. Now, we do split the costs for the maintenance. So I don't know how they can come about and just basically say, you know, we're going to put a home back there and we're going to just build, or we're going to just dig wherever we want to dig. We have not been contacted by Mr. Buffamonte. He has not asked for our permission. He has not consulted to us about anything. Certainly hasn't offered any compensation. And when he talks about, well, we're going to just dig and put a pipe in and we're going to patch it. And to your point, we don't want to see a patch. It's a nice, clean road. It's private. So again, this is just a right-of-way. I don't know what kind of information you were fed, but we own the road, and we have not given permission for the development to go forward by bringing a water main through our property. I don't know how much more I really need to say. Thoughts, questions?
But they do have a right-of-way. Can you talk to the right-of-way?
The right-of-way was, again, so my father, who built the house, was the first home on that property. Deckers Davidson put in that little drive to give access because he wanted to do a little subdivision. Had he wanted to do 4 homes, there's currently 3 homes right now. We're 1, and then there's 2 and 3 in the back. If he wanted to do 4, he would have done 4 back then, but he didn't do that. He was very close with my father, and he used to say, I love my property. There's a pool on his property, and he loved the 2-acre lot. They came in, bought the property, and came up with this scheme that said, we're going to carve this up, and we're going to get another home back here. So I don't think that was ever the intent of the original owner, Deckers Davidson. That's just, my opinion. So, again, my father knew Deckers, and my father was the first home built there. So they mentioned to you, I think the previous attorney mentioned to you, there is a 24-inch pipe that comes from our neighbor from the other side, across the road, across our whole property, to spill into the stream that eventually goes down to the reservoir. So that's a 24-inch pipe. There's no way it's going to withstand the traffic of the construction that they're talking about. Trailers, machines, backhoes, whatever it might be. So I'm just completely against this whole process. I don't know what they're going to find when they go to dig. First of all, there's a pipe directly underneath the road. Where's this trench going to go? Are they going to go down 3 feet, 4 feet? I don't know how, I didn't hear how many feet it was going to be. So, there is already electricity, there's already water, there's sewer. So there's a lot of things that are already in the road. Cable TV, all those things. So I think there's still a lot of questions that have to be answered.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
Yes, I'd like to show you this map real quickly.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so a lot of this comes back to the very origination of all this. The question was, is Davidson Drive a road? Davidson Drive put his name on it because it was his property. It was a cute little idea, Davidson Drive. It rhymed, it was nice. It's nothing more than a driveway, believe me. What I'd like to show you, this is the town map. Okay, this is, yeah. This subject highlighted area
Just do
here.
me a favor, can you grab the mic so they can hear you?
This highlighted area here is the whole property. This is our home here on Nanahagan Road. This is our neighbor to the north. You'll notice, if I may, if I can just put that other piece up. Can you give me that for a second? This has been enlarged. This came right off of the town map. You can see all the other streets in the area, right? Okay, so again, let me turn this upside down because it's here's Nanahagan Road, okay? There's no mention of Davidson Drive because there is no road. It's a driveway. I'm sorry. Keep switching this on you. It's a little confusing, so. Yeah, so here's Valentine. Here's the turn, right here, right? So this represents this diagram below. Okay, here's the subject. So you can see this property, the original 420, has access to Nanahagan Road. I still don't understand why they didn't just go directly up their driveway to go get the water main from there. Why do they need to disturb this road here, which is not a road, but we're referring to it as a road. It's a driveway. This is our property right here along Nanahagan Road. There's the 200 feet that we own. He's coming on our property with no notification, no permission, no compensation, nothing. That sounds a little odd to me. How they can proceed with these hearings and just show up one day. Now, my water main, I believe, comes from Nanahagan. At the time, I don't think, because it just went directly out, because there were no homes behind us at the time. So it doesn't, I don't think I tie into that, but it's all underneath our road, granted by my father. Any questions?
Any questions?
There is one thing I'd like to add. I think our neighbors, the Pagellos and the Calabros, have received a letter about this meeting. We never received one. We check the mail just about every day.
Certified.
Certified. We were never,
Got nothing.
even previous meetings, we don't get any communication. It's almost like they don't want us to know.
Right, why is that? Why is it that we're 412 Nanahagan, we don't get anything, but our neighbors do? Why?
Because they understand how pivotal our property is to this project. That's the reason why they want us to know certain things, okay? Again, zero communication. So,
So we need to address that conversation. So do we know where those notifications were sent to for tonight's public hearing?
The exact list that was provided to us, sent to
But this is an adjoining property owner.
Yeah, if you want to give me their name, because sometimes the ownerships are not the same as the address, and who don't live there might go to a different address. So if you want to give me your address.
It doesn't, it goes to 412 Nanahagan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
it
there's,
goes.
there's always been 3 homes in this conversation.
Yeah, that's
5 and 6
something
Davidson
we
and
have to
412
button
Nanahagan.
up.
All adjoining neighbors get the notification, so. I'll go
We
by-
did not get anything. We checked our mailbox just before this meeting,
I'll check it. I'll
Okay.
check to see what I gave them. and I'll
That's
check
all.
their receipt.
so,
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming out.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so we are on number 3. Good evening.
Frank Calabra, my wife Ellie.
Hi, welcome.
I don't really have much more to say. I believe the previous 2 speakers have mentioned our concerns. I don't know if I have that much more. You know, we're obviously concerned about the whole thing. but
Yep,
I don't know if I could really add much more on it.
We sent you a letter, as you know.
yep.
I provided some pictures for you to see
Let's-
some of what the road looks like. And I just hope that you do the right thing, maybe prolong it so that we get the right information and so that we can move forward. But we have to have the right information on everything before we,
Okay,
and hope that you could prolong this till you have everything, like they had indicated. I mean, I'm really concerned that there's no easement, you know, for the water as well. And that brook, that stream that goes across, I'm concerned about that. You know, if they dig, is it gonna collapse? It's not in great shape.
right.
So I
That-
just hope that you do the right thing. We trust in the board.
Well, we always do the right thing, and sometimes it's,
We love the community here. I mean, we're here 37 years, and I mean, it's wonderful living here. I gotta say that.
yeah,
It really is.
it's a nice town.
Good people, honest, hardworking people.
Yeah.
Great being here, yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Number 4. Number 4,
3 of them are together.
okay, is there a number 5? Okay, you consolidated, okay. Okay, so, all right, we heard from the applicant, we heard from the community. Yes,
I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I heard the comments of the neighbors, and they're going back to something that was already decided. By the way, my name is Philip Grimaldi. I'm the attorney for the applicant. The zoning board of appeals already decided this is a road. They already decided that we have a right to use it. And my understanding is I sent a letter to Mr. Shafazada, who's a town attorney, that we also have an easement right to connect to the water main. Easements don't always have to be written. Now, the 2 owners at 5 and 6, if you look at their easement, it's merely an access easement, yet they have utilities running under Davidson Drive, because those easement rights are pertinent to their access rights. That's the law. That's the black letter law, okay? Does it have to be a written easement saying, I give you the right to lay your pipes underneath Davidson Drive? Because neither 5 or 6, they don't have that right. They just have access easements. That's number 1. Number 2, okay, the applicant said, I own Davidson Drive and nobody has a right to use it. That's not true. We own Davidson Drive too. We own about 150 feet, and there are utilities running under our property as well. And again, our rights come from the fact that the ZBA has already determined that this is a street. We have a right to use it, and that was determined. It was never appealed. And furthermore, this board made a determination on January 3rd, 2025.
Mr. Grimaldi,
No.
there's no reason to yell at the planning board.
I'm not yelling, and I apologize because
You are.
this has been
We're
dragging on.
gonna go through this, we're gonna go through this a
Okay.
little bit more.
All right, I apologize,
Thank
but
you.
also, you gave us final subdivision approval. Unless there's a compelling reason to deny that there's been compelling change, you're bound to abide by the determination you made in January 2025. The only difference is now we're tying in to a water main, okay? Now they're telling you about, I guess, there's a wetland now. Well, guess what? There's a 15-foot wide road over that wetland. We're disturbing the road, not the wetland. If there is a wetland, we'll get a wetlands permit if that's needed. The other point I want to make is, now, the owner said, well, Mr. Davidson said, I love my 2-acre lot, I'll never do anything. Well, guess what? It was not a 2-acre lot, it was a 3-acre lot, and Mr. Davidson subdivided it 35 years ago for a significant amount of money, okay? The city owns the back. He gave the city an easement to lay utilities underneath Davidson Drive. Now, if he didn't have that right, he couldn't have done that, but he did that. And we're doing the same thing. So again, these are legal arguments that Mr. Shafasada understands and agrees with. So again, all they want to do is they want to delay this, delay this, delay this. And I just want to call your attention to the first time we were here, what the neighbors said. This is going to devalue our property. That's the only issue here. That's the only issue.
Okay.
Okay? We've done everything.
Okay,
We've
these-
done
listen,
everything by the law.
We're gonna
Okay?
take it, we're gonna take it down a little bit of a notch. There's
Okay.
no reason to go down that path.
Yeah, again, this has been dragging on for years. We won one case in Supreme Court, won one case, and they basically said the same thing. You don't have a second bite at the apple. You can't relitigate this. I gave the board a copy. I'll
So
give
what
you a
we're hearing
copy again.
tonight is specific to the water main, and I understand that.
That's
So-
right, and we'll
so-
do whatever it takes. If you want a maintenance bond, we'll post a maintenance bond. We'll do it. Whatever it costs, we'll do it.
So why are we not proposing that right from the beginning then?
Because it's a private improvement. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
But if that's what you want, we will do that. 100% we'll do that.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members?
You,
Come on up.
It's like a bakery, right? You get a number.
My name's Tom Liberati, 28 Milford Street, Hawthorne. I'm the owner-operator of Let It Flow NY. So as far as, I was a little late, sorry, the excavation of roadway, it's what I do for a living. I've been doing it on my own for 5 years now. I've been part of a bigger company that's done prevailing wage union work for close to 10 years now. So as far as excavating, 2-foot wide trench, we dig the trench, dump truck's right behind us, we load up, car's coming, dump truck goes off, machine comes to the side, put the plates on. Like,
Okay, we're not gonna,
so let's pretend that,
okay, we're gonna, hold on. We're gonna do a couple things. We're not gonna be shouting from the back, number one.
okay.
Number two, you're gonna be talking into the mic and you're addressing the board, you're not addressing the people over there.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm yelling.
So just speak to the mic.
Okay.
Less
so-
of the back and forth, please.
So here's how the order of operations works. First things first, nobody would be notified of anything. What comes in, we go to the engineering department, highway, DPW, you apply for permits, right? So then they give back a list of things of what they want. Traffic control, what type of bond they're recommending, dollar value on the bond, we do all that paperwork. Now, since it is a private road and it's not a public road, we reach out to private utility locators, not 811 DigSafe. So the private utility locators come out, they locate all the utilities, they come out with their wands, they mark them out, they do their thing. So they mark all that out. When we have all positive confirmation, you guys, we can notify you as well because of traffic and everything else, we let them know when we're gonna start. Could we start at 9 a.m.? Like, we'll be there at maybe 8 o'clock warming up the machines on the lot, but if we start at 9 a.m., yeah, we could do that.
How long is this gonna take, this whole thing, you think?
I would say, and again, the only unknown is the testing of the water main. So that's a Department of Health thing. As far as the excavation, the 4 foot deep, hooking up and everything else, you're looking at the 9 to 10 working days, essentially 2 weeks.
So what's this
working
unknown
days.
thing with the Department of Health? So if we dig this thing and the Department of Health says that they don't like whatever you did,
No, they don't say they like whatever they did. There's certain tests, and I'm not versed inside and out, so I'm not gonna comment. I don't perform those tests. I just do the installation of the pipe and the restoration of the roadway. Those guys come in, they do the testing, they make sure there's no air in the line or anything else. That's
Okay.
what there is. So they come back with their reports, they present it to the Department of Health. and then we backfill and restore the roadway.
Okay. Anything else?
As far as how we're digging, from what I heard, so if this is the road right here, I'm sitting in my machine, I'm digging, I'm swinging outside, I'm loading up my truck. I get notice, oh, car's coming, okay? Guy's in the truck, he pulls it that way, take the machine, I put the plates on, I back off, and the cars go through.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in 2025, you could go look it up, in June, on Kensico, it's like Kensico Road in Mount Kisco. It's a dead-end street. I had to do a sewer main there. Somebody was drowning in the pool. So as the emergency vehicles were coming, we had our flagger down, where we have flagger there, another guy there. We're pulling the plates, we're directing those emergency vehicles and EMS to get down there. So we did the sewer line, it's in the building where Empress is actually.
Okay.
So we have experience with that. As far as the restoration of the road, so it's typical bedding. You go 1 foot above the water main, and then you put what's called Encacrete. It's not as hard as concrete, but it hardens up as concrete. So then you do 4 inches of binder, you cut wing backs, you do 2 inches of top, and then you do tar strips. You could drive around Westchester County, I'll take you to all my sewer lines, nothing sinks. We restore the right way, that's what we do, and that's also why we put up a bond. So that's as far as that. As far as emergency vehicles, I used to be a volunteer firefighter over at Hawthorne. I stepped down at the end of this year.
Thank you for your
Here's my old badge.
service.
I got 3 active children, and the business took a life of its own, so I couldn't spread myself thin. You get an emergency, unfortunately. Phone call goes in, 911. God forbid, my house is on fire. That call goes to police, and it goes to 60 Control. As you mentioned, we have volunteer firefighters. They have to get from their houses, there's no personal vehicles except for the chief cars. But the first one to show up to the scene is the police. So if we see the police coming, we know, okay, we got a problem. Boom, boom. As far as the trucks, the apparatus, if they heard me say trucks, the wheelbase is a lot wider, tire to tire than a trench. At the end of Nanahagan is unfortunately where the fire hydrant is. And I think we're proposing to put a fire hydrant in down. I can tell you right now, I don't know why you're complaining. You're gonna have a fire hydrant closer to your house. I can tell you the difference in timing to hook up to that fire hydrant and get that water down to your house is the difference of your house burning to the ground or not. So that's, EMS, fire, anything else with the excavation, the road, any other questions? As far as curb to curb, I'm not getting involved in that, but if you're asking somebody to make, a concession to someone, well, he didn't come to us. After everything you've gone through, would you be knocking on doors?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would, because
I also
no,
I
look,
also think
I
he's done that.
haven't finished.
And then
I haven't finished.
Yeah.
It's very, very important to build the relationship when a contractor or a developer goes into a development and bridge those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally would have done that. I would have bridged those gaps because it does seem like there's not a lot of, there's missing communication going on here.
I believe that was done at the beginning, and I've
It
done
should have
stuff
continued.
myself, and at the beginning, once you get the no, it's like asking a girl out. How many times are you gonna ask her out? She already said no, right?
Yeah.
As far as private road, I just pulled up on Google Maps Davison Drive, it shows up there. On the map they presented, Eton Road is also a private road. And I believe the lot just went up for sale the last couple days. There was a house there which was subdivided, and now there's a flag lot on there.
Okay, anything else?
That's about it.
All right,
Unless
thank
got
you.
any questions about the road?
Anybody else have any questions about the road and the construction of the pipe? Okay, thank you very much. Okay. What could possibly be new? Come on up.
Gerard Pagello, 6 Davidson Drive. I'll be brief. The gentleman you just heard from is 420 Nanahagan's contractor. Who we have not heard from is a fire chief from Thornwood. I received an email from him this morning that he knows nothing about this project, received no notification, and that he would do his best to have the department address it at the next board meeting on July 8th.
And we heard that, right, tonight?
The developer made a representation that New York State DEC had been notified. I have an email from their attorney. They know nothing about the project. I have an email from New York City
So
DEP.
when you say you have a notification from their attorney, there's more than one attorney for the DEC.
I have a copy of it if you'd like to see it.
So it's a attorney, it's not the attorney.
It's the regional attorney for New
Okay.
York State DEC for this region.
So is there an agreement with some DEC attorney already?
I think Mr. Collins, he's confusing the DEC with the DEP.
I am not
No, I'm not
confusing.
talking about you, I'm talking about my client. When we first did this, we had to notify the New York City DEP, and the zoning board of appeals made us go back to the DEP to see if we could get an easement through Nanahagan Road for access rather than Davidson Drive, because they own part of it. So he's talking about the DEP. DEP is a New York City agency.
Okay.
We also had to give them notice.
All right.
That's what he's talking about.
All right, thank you.
DEC, we don't have to notify them, okay? There's no.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
See,
No,
and I just told you.
no, guys,
you
no
told
back
us
and
the
forth.
DEP.
All right, can I address New York City DEP, please?
Yes.
I have an email from New York City DEP telling me two things. Number one, that they received no notice of this meeting. And number two, that he had discussions with the town attorney this week over the phone and had some issues that needed to be addressed. And he also told me over the phone today that they were going to have a field crew come out next week and evaluate.
Was the DEC notified as an adjoining property owner?
They were not. I have an
They're not,
email.
or I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Or are they even an adjoining property owner?
DEC's not,
Okay.
DEP is.
right, DEC's not.
So was the DEP notified through the mechanism?
Yes, they're on the list. They called me and said that they got notification.
Who called you? I have an email from the Regional Bureau of Water
Okay.
chief that he had not received anything. I have copies of all these emails if you'd like to see them. So I'm wondering if you have 3 people that I just told you have not been notified. We'll put DEC to the side for a second, and I will tell you that the reason that they're not involved is because the applicant has told nobody through this whole process, including Westchester County Department of Health, that they were crossing land owned by 412 Nanahagan Road. And in addition to that, I would ask respectfully, the applicant has maintained for the last 2 years that they have a legal easement for the right-of-way known as Davidson Drive. I have a certified title policy that I had done that shows no easement. And if they're going to tell this board that they do have an easement, respectfully, I think you should ask them for a copy of a certified title policy from them showing that they do have an easement. And I'm talking about for vehicle access, and as far as the right-of-way is concerned, and the water main that goes through there, that is a private water main that comes from Nanahagan Road. Myself and my neighbors are responsible for the maintenance and repair of that water main that is in our deed. So they have absolutely no right to touch that. They have pretended to the town, and they have pretended to Westchester County Department of Health that that is a public water main. It is not. And you should find out properly if what they're saying is the truth.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we have heard from a number of neighbors. We've heard from the applicant. We have a couple things to think about. Some of them, I'll hold off my own thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts?
I have a few. Carolyn, is the applicant responsible for providing proof of proper public notice to the, okay, and have they done so? Okay, that's number one. And we're getting caught between lawyers on this side and this side telling us something. I'm not a lawyer, not interested in interpreting it. We have attorneys to do that, and our town attorney has advised us that the subdivision is still valid, and he has reviewed both sides, you know, your documentation submitted. So I don't want to get involved in reinterpreting 3 different attorneys' interpretations. Mr. Bulfamonte, you have heard all of the concerns about going in, putting your water line in there. Is the health department aware of all of these? If I were you, I would take Mr. Sheridan's letter and say, here, health department, these are all the reasons why I should be able to put a well in here. And all of these objections are flying around. Like, did they say, absolutely not, you've got to put your water line in there or you're dead in the water? Or did they say, well, gee, it would be great?
So there's no secret, right? Because he foiled all those emails, nor do we want to have any secrets, right? We absolutely made that argument, and that's what Mr. Sheridan was reading to you. Department of Health saw right through that argument. Once again, I'll be honest, because why not? I didn't want to do a water main.
Right.
It's expensive.
That's what I'm
I was
thinking.
very happy with my well.
Yeah.
So that's why we made that argument, and they saw right through it. They said, absolutely not. There's a utility easement, there's a water main there now, and then they saw it on the subdivision map and all the easements, and subsequently forced us to do it and approved don't forget, the water main upgrade application is approved by Westchester County Department of Health, and they asked for that. That is part of the approval process of the approved water main upgrade application that we provided
So
to
this
this
is
board.
not your preference? You
Absolutely.
don't want to put in
Absolutely.
this water main, you'd rather do a well? Okay. The
absolutely,
house
yeah.
is coming no matter what, so it's a question of where it's, you know,
Yeah, we would,
that was already, you know, approved.
and that is the reason why those emails were sent, and we tried to fight, and they said absolutely not. Of course, there's an easement, it's basically what we were told,
And we've been told by the zoning board of appeals, they've said that he has access. And the appurtenance there too, that you can put a water line in there. So I feel like we're just being put in a position of, you know, he says and he says, and,
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
yeah.
I mean, the only thing we're hearing tonight is the water main itself, not the validity of the subdivision that we've already approved. And the conversation is really more about the water main itself. And the restoration of the road. So that's the one concern I do have about the restoration of the road and how it's going to look and
That
feel.
I have, yeah, I think that's in our wheelhouse, but, I mean, as to the water line and we do land use, you know, not utilities, not law, not, you know, so.
I was very careful not to tell this board what they can and cannot decide on, right? But I did say that's why we've provided the approved water main upgrade application to you. And Mr. Chairman, you're right, it wasn't in. I don't really want to address the relationship thing at the beginning. You know, I went to school with both of their children. Mr. Pagello was inside the house when we were renovating it on a daily basis. We had a great relationship. So unfortunately, that was beyond my control. You addressed that and seen that, so I did want to tell you that. And no, we didn't agree to that initially, right? Because it is a huge expense, and quite frankly, it's been very contentious, right? But if it is obviously your prerogative to put in the resolution that, and I will say, if that needs to be part of the resolution that Mr. Cleary drafts, we're open to that, the bond and the full restoration.
Okay. Any other questions?
How old is the existing water main?
How old is the existing water main?
I mean, it looks like the road's pretty old. I mean, here's a storm drain that's rusted through to failure. I'm just wondering, is this something that's not going to last and will need to be replaced? Is there a beneficial use to the neighborhood from doing this?
So that existing water main, we're asking the age of the existing water main.
Unfortunately, I don't know the age. I apologize. I wish I did, but we did provide a benefit to the neighbor
that-
section of the proposal, and it was a new, right, blue plastic water main, which is reliable and what's the right word? Not deficient, right? Not undersized, as well as the hydrant halfway down the street, huge, say 400 feet on a hydrant. And now the other benefit would be,
and
if
that's-
that road is in very bad shape, it doesn't matter what anyone says. So a new road would be huge.
And that's getting outside of our wheelhouse in a way, because the water main itself, that's the town staff is gonna get involved with that, and also the county Department of Health. And if they don't like the existing water line that's there, then something needs to change. But we as a planning board can't make that determination just, on what we think it's good or not good, so, okay, thank you. So the question in my mind is to me, is the bond conversation and the restoration of the road conversation.
I believe the applicant indicated they concede to both those points.
They said they would be willing to, but I think we need to say that's what we want as a board, because I think we need to make sure that if we're digging up that road, we're restoring it to a decent capacity. And also, I think the bond would be a belt and suspenders, not to say you've been in the business. So I think that would be something we need to think about.
In thinking about that, do you know offhand if the applicant were to, first of all, I want the neighbors not to be stuck with a bill 3 years from now to repave the whole roadway. But if they repave the roadway, are they going to get stuck putting in concrete curbing and things like that? Will the engineering department, well, as a private road, I guess they're not obligated to.
They're not obligated, and I don't, unless there was some engineering reason to do that for stormwater direction or something, the town engineer would not require that typically.
And would that, you don't have to close a road for long for that when you're paving over a roadway.
No, that's a day.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The only thing that is pausing me a little bit is I do think we should send a notification to the fire department.
So, again, absolutely, no question about that, but that relates to the construction management of the hole in the ground, essentially.
Yeah.
It doesn't relate to the legal issues of the easement, so forth, that the applicant's attorney is raising.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved with that.
Yeah.
Could we do something like make a sign off from the fire department, a condition?
requirement.
Yeah, a requirement. It seems that the building department would want to
So
look at that too.
normally, you wouldn't be dealing with these issues. These would be issues that are addressed by the building inspector during the building permit phase. Obviously, they can be conditions of your approval. I would only offer the caveat that you not overly restrict the building inspector's ability to go above and beyond. So if you say you must do these 5 things, the applicant's gonna only do those 5 things. Sal may want 10 things done, and he typically will do that in the field as work is progressing. So I would only offer that not restrict what the building department would typically do.
Yeah, and that's not my bailiwick. So, okay. With that being said, any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, so we have a public hearing that's open. What is the thought about the public hearing?
I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
We have a motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And an aye for me. Okay, so we have a closed public hearing now. So what is the pleasure of the board for the water main conversation? Specific, we're not talking about the subdivision again. We're talking specifically about the element that is being added to this conversation, which is a water main.
From the start, I think this is a little odd that this is even coming to, this seems like something that should have been handled outside of, by town staff, and that it doesn't really have planning issues since we already approved the subdivision. So I would make a motion to direct the preparation of an approval resolution for the amended
Can
subdivision.
I just offer that it also be reviewed and approved by the law department, just to make sure we're consistent with the legal issues that have been raised?
And with, yep.
So moved.
Okay, so motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
With the items that were talked about, the bond, they'd be worded into this
They
resolution?
will be, again, with the caveat that those are a limited, and there can be more
At a
further
minimum.
restrictions.
Including but not limited to.
That's
Yeah.
the language.
Okay,
So Walter?
aye.
Okay, Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I for me. Okay. Moving on to the next application. New application, 123 Castleton. Change of use to part of the building from existing warehouse office to warehouse office and sports car court. New parking lot for the change of use. Application site plan PSP 26-6, location 123 Castleton Street, Thornwood. Section block lot numbers 106.10.6-4, zone M2. Owner Prospero Real Estate Company. Applicant James Flandro.
Flandra,
I get that right almost?
close.
Okay, we'll stick with that.
It's been
JMF.
mispronounced so many times.
JMF Architects, Engineer Architect, JMER Engineer PC. Welcome, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, my name is James Flandro. I'm the architect for the project. So what we are doing, it's an existing warehouse with an office space within this location here. They got an addition back in 16, I believe it was, to put the office here and additional warehouse space. Since then, they are going to change the use of part of the building. So within this area here, they're going to make a sports court place. So they're talking to a couple different people about coming in, one being pickleball, one being a training center for young girls, for athletes. We're also proposing a small addition here, which would house the bathroom facilities, the lobby to entrance, and the overall the front desk of the counter. With this, we need more parking because there's more parking required for the sports court than for the warehouse and the office space. So we're going to add a parking lot to the property that they own next door. So with our parking, with the calculations, we are still short for the actual overall parking that we would need. So we need to go to the zoning board of appeals for that.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments from board members?
What is the square footage of the area proposed for courts?
A little over 7,000. That's for the courts itself. So there's additional space within that for egress path and travel and stuff. So.
Any other final questions?
There's
Not
cons-
final, actually. We got a ways to go.
There's construction going on currently, there's steel framing being put up.
Yes, so part of the process we were dealing with the town, it was a two-phase process. One is to enclose the office space that wasn't built. With that office space, there was going to be 2 floors. So we're removing the floor for the second floor, and we are redoing some steel work to make it one big open space.
And say on a street map, you can go down Castleton, but then there's a street before it, so they're parallel to each other, but
Yeah.
I forget the name of that
Irvington Street.
But they don't connect, I guess it's the parking lot that it joins.
Yeah, so the street ends here. So it comes down to the end and it dead ends at their property. So the parking lot would be at the end of the property for here, and then the other parking lot for the existing warehouse and office spaces here. So with the parking, when we do go to the zoning board of appeals, the amount of spaces needed for the warehouse is a lot more than that they, how many employees they have. They have 5 employees in the warehouse, 9 in the office, and we need 35 for the warehouse. So right there's additional parking spaces that will, hopefully, when we talk to the zoning board, they'll be able to grant the variance because there's not that many people in the warehouse portion of the building. So.
Okay, so what do we need for this one? This one is,
Pretty straightforward, Mr. Chairman. The issue that is a little different from the one that you saw on Skyline Drive last year, I guess, is that this is a to-be-determined recreational facility. The one on Skyline Drive, it was
Padel.
7 pickleball courts, 3 Padel courts, no tournaments, this many people. You had a very good understanding of exactly how it would be used. We don't have that unless the applicant can provide that here. So that's really an issue that could be an issue, or who knows? But that's the only sort of open-ended issue. There's also one other issue about the retaining walls in the parking lot, which
We
needs a
lowered
little
it.
bit of clarification.
Yeah, we lowered it for the application.
But other than that, this is reusing existing space, so this is a good reuse of space. The only other question related to this is if this is somehow impacting Prospero's operation in some way or another, because they're losing the space, are they gonna come back and add warehouse space somewhere else because they took it away from here? So that's just a question.
okay, but from a town staff perspective, there's really not much more that we need.
What are we being asked to do tonight?
So, public hearing and sending it to the zoning board, that's where we are with this. There's not a lot of site plan or site engineering issues here.
Okay. All right, the night's getting long, let's figure this out. What is the pleasure of the board on this one? So there's two things. Do we schedule a public hearing, yes or no? And do we send it to the zoning board, yes or no?
Yes and yes.
Okay, sounds like a motion.
I make a motion to schedule a public hearing on this application and send it to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Now, will the public hearing occur after the Zoning Board of Appeals? Because you'll have a public hearing in front of the Zoning
They
Board of
will.
Appeals.
Right.
Okay, but we're just saving you one trip back here after your
That's-
ZBA determination.
So you want me to go to the zoning board of appeals first, then
Yeah.
come back for?
But
fine.
if I were sitting on the zoning board, I'd want to have a good idea of whether the proposed use is going to generate more parking than, say, pickleball. Let's say something else wants to go in there that has a lot.
So I know from experience with the sports training facilities, with my son playing sports, you have a team there and you might have 13, 14 kids.
Okay.
Compared to a
Or
pickleball.
dropped off.
So if you have 2 courts going, maybe you have the same amount of kids or same amount of people as the pickleball courts. We have 8 pickleball courts, so that's, with 4 people playing, with extra people coming in for parking, it's kind of almost a trade-off of that. But when I
Okay.
do it for the zoning board, I'll put something like that together.
Okay, so we have a motion from Eileen,
I'll second it.
second from Steve. Walter?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I for me. Okay, you're good to go for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
That was easy.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, and it's our final one for tonight, because number 4, if you're here for number 4, that is off the agenda tonight. It's been adjourned. Tonight is proposed 51 Westchester Avenue removal of an existing 2-story single-family residence and construction of two 2-family residences, 1 unit with 3 bedrooms, 1 unit with 4 bedrooms, with a shared driveway, associated utilities, and stormwater management systems. Application site plan PSP 26-5, steep slope PSS 2610, special use PSU 26-2, location 51 Westchester Avenue, Thornwood. Section block lot number is 106.15-2-89 and 90. Zone PRDT-2. Owner 51 Kensington Avenue. Applicant and engineers Nicholas Shara, Hudson Engineering. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nicholas Shirai with Hudson Engineering. To my left is Lou DeMasi. He's the architect for the project. This is the 2 existing properties fronting on Kensington Avenue. The properties were subdivided. There's an existing structure on what we're calling Lot 1, which is known as 51 Westchester or 51 Kensington. We are proposing to remove the existing structure, the portion of the existing asphalt driveway and gravel driveway and other impervious areas on the site. And we're proposing to construct 2 two-family residences with a shared driveway. The existing curb cuts and existing driveway are to remain and be reused. There are some improvements proposed due to needing the access for both new residences. Along with that, We do have some steep slope disturbance for the driveway, for the shared access driveway here. We also have utilities onto Kensington Avenue for each structure, which we're proposing to connect on Kensington. We have water sewer on that street, so that's what we're proposing to connect. On the lot itself, we are proposing 5 parking spots for each residence. So 2 for each 2-family and 1 guest parking. Let's see. That's about it. The structures themselves are a little over the allotted or the permitted max coverage. But just talking outside, we're like right there. We're a little over 20% on the coverage for the buildings. We can cut that a bit to make sure we don't need a variance for that. Otherwise, the buildings may need a variance for height. Is that correct?
Okay, quick question.
Sure.
Why shared driveway?
So if we look at the right-of-way here, these are extremely steep slopes. It'll be difficult to construct a driveway that would meet the town's permissible driveway slope, which I believe is about 12%. So we would need massive walls to actually get a driveway access for this lot. It seemed a lot easier, a lot more efficient to just reuse the existing curb cut, make it, not widen it, actually we're reducing a little bit, but just using this area here to come through and make it shared. We will have a turnaround for lot 1 on this end, so we're not really inconveniencing any of the residences that would use this driveway. We've made it wide enough so that 2 cars can pass.
Yeah, sharing driveways is not something this board typically loves, because sharing is not really a good thing with driveways.
Did you hear the last hour and a half of what was going on?
So that makes me a little nervous. Just me as one board member, like the sharing driveway conversation definitely makes me a little bit nervous because the maintenance of I mean, it may be easier for you now, but 20 years when someone's living in that house, I mean, that driveway needs to get paved. One wants to pave it, one doesn't want to pave it, or there's issues with whatever. So the sharing conversation, I think we need to dig into a little bit.
Okay.
So the reason for the shared are, they're going to be rental units, they're not going to be for sale. So we're going to keep them under one ownership, and they're going to be rental units.
But at some point, the building's going to sell, right? And so they're going to be, okay. And that's really immaterial, because whether it's rentals or not, it's going to be, there's going to be one owner of both houses?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's under one ownership, so he's going to rent them, not sell them.
Those are 2 different lots, though. Could those 2 lots sell differently? Meaning, could one house sell to person A and the other lot sell to person B?
They could, yeah.
Eventually?
But we're not looking to do that.
That's
what-
today,
yeah.
right? So at some point, every property sells, and then we've been promised the world and the moon and the sun on this board.
Sure.
And I can see that lot 1 being sold at some point, because it happens in 10, 15, 20 years. Every piece of property in this town sells eventually. And I can see someone selling that off as a piece, lot 1 to one person, and lot 2 to another person. Now we have the shared driveway conversation going on.
Sure.
So it gets a little bit dicey, and how do we maintain it? How do we make sure that the understanding of who does what on that driveway is maintained, and snowing and all that kind of stuff? So.
Can you flip it again so we can see where all the steep slopes are?
So right in here is approximately where so right here is where the proposed driveway, shared part of the driveway goes through, and a section of the house on lot 1. These are 15 to 25%. These are 35% or more steep slopes.
I was actually looking to see if a driveway could come in off of Westchester Avenue and go
Sure.
serve the back of the lot, the left lot, and
Right.
then come straight back. And, because I was put off by the amount of impervious surface for the driveway going across the whole front of the property, and the grading that would be required for that, even, you know, in the flattish
So
area.
you just, can I add a few things? So the right-of-way is unusually large on this, around these properties.
Yeah.
So a lot of that driveway is actually in the right-of-way. It's not on the property until you sort of make your way up a little further. That's where most of the steep slopes are, in the right-of-way. So that's an unusual circumstance. So yeah, the ability to look at Westchester Avenue made a little bit of sense. There's also an unusual situation where that existing driveway that you're gonna move the driveway access to appears to go up to the homes in the back. I'm not sure what's going on there, but do they have some right of, again, from our prior application, an easement right? What's going on with that? So that's sort of an unusual circumstance that we need to clarify as well. So there's some stuff going on here that complicates this a little bit.
So that driveway in question, we do want this to remain. Does provide access through to the houses on
Oh,
this
that's
on
the
the back
other
of this lot.
driveway.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
correct. So this is existing. We want this to remain just because it does get used.
And
So-
they have an easement over your lot to go to that area? in
Is
the
that
back?
correct? Yes, they do. So, I mean, I did look at this a bit. I do hear what you're saying about accessing through here, but the steep slopes would pose, we would need to work with engineering to kind of get a usable driveway through here, just because how steep this area is to get a curb cut here and get a driveway to access from
I'm thinking
this
more
lot.
of using the existing driveway, that cross-hatched area
Mhm.
for the house on the left,
Mhm.
and using the existing driveway and sharing that driveway to get to the house on lot 2.
I mean, keeping this whole section just coming off here.
Or spinning off of that driveway into there. Well,
Yep. I mean, it is kind of a version of that. We're just kind
So
of
much
try
gray.
to minimize disturbance, or not disturbance, but like try to keep it, let me see the curb cut. Yeah, so we kind of wanted to just reduce the amount of disturbance we would have with a second driveway coming through here. So, I mean, that's really the reason, but we're open to changes to the access way.
one last
Sure.
promise. All the pavement to the left,
Mhm.
way left, yeah, what's all that for? Why does it go beyond that parking area?
So this is a turnaround. It's not really a spot. It's just if someone wants to back out, they would have to go this way. They can come this way, come out, come this way.
I think
go
that's
out.
inevitably going to be a spot for like a hammerhead. You need, 8
Sure.
feet. They can scooch a little bit
We,
without it.
we can reduce this a little bit. It does look a little excessive, but we can stretch it out. We do have guest parking on these sides. I've kind of numbered them to show what the parking spaces are.
When you come up Westchester, say from like the ShopRite area or the Mavis Tire is, you hit Albany and Westchester, not Albany, Kensington and Westchester, and it's all overgrown, and that's the right of way.
Yeah.
So then nestled in within the overgrown is the staircase, concrete stairs that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think
you guys
most of
go up.
that's in the right of way.
Yeah.
And then you have this sadly looking garage in the hillside. And then, it's just very steep and you can just barely see the house up on top. Then it marries into a stone wall to the adjacent property, past the garage. So none of that is being touched as part of this project. That old garage is staying, all that overgrown corner, and the staircase. That's just
Stone walls are not being touched and the garage is not being touched.
That's on this section of facing onto Westchester. Yes. There's no plans to remove that. The walls are actually in pretty good shape, so.
because it's so overgrown. It's like these old vines and everything when you pass there, and then the house next door, further up Westchester, it has like a stone wall, a mortared stone wall, with the house up on the top, which I think they access from Albany. They come around the back there, because there's no access off of Westchester, because they just have a steep staircase going up. So I guess, I don't know the address. There used to be a politician who used to live there, Sue Swanson. Her name used to be on the mailbox, and Albany's now called Sue Swanson Layers, something like that. But I know there's no access from Westchester to that house. You have to come off Albany, which is probably loops around, and you can probably come right down to Kensington from that area. But I guess it just, what I'm talking about is that you're not doing anything from Westchester up to that first retaining wall.
That's correct. Our proposal really focuses all the work on the Kensington side. Really, we'd be concentrating a lot of our erosion control and limits of disturbance right on that edge there, right on the property line. Yeah, we have no intention of touching anything on that side. As I said before, like all our connections, especially for utilities, everything's kind of located on Kensington. There's sanitary sewer there, there's water there. So, you know, all the work is concentrated on that end.
So I guess historically, I think this house was built in 1950. The house that's there. Did Kensington even exist, or access was just maybe from Westchester Avenue as a single road? Because the houses on the other side of Kensington are rather new looking, say.
I'm not entirely sure of the history. Can you speak to that a little? Yeah, I'm not sure what year it was built, but I don't know. How, do you know? Yeah. 80s.
So this house is 1950, so 36 years later, they use Kensington to those who house. So I guess across the street where these houses were, that was just probably a treed lot or something.
Or maybe Walter was accessed from Albany back, that's what that driveway is, that maybe that's how they, who knows, right? It's an interesting little area, right?
Yeah.
You think the access from Westchester to the garage is down there at the steps in the street? I think they came in there at some point. Before my time.
Yeah. Because that asphalt walkway didn't exist, say, 30 years ago on the street. Westchester didn't have a sidewalk. It was just a drainage gully. So if access wasn't from Kensington, the cars just parked on Westchester and went up those stone stairs.
Yeah, could very well be. And Nick, just, you know, you can go back through some of those historical aerial photographs and see what was going on. That might tell something stupid.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, we have not yet gotten Dave Smith's comments on this. This is a steep slope application, so
Yeah.
we really need to hear from the engineering.
Yeah,
department.
I can only
There's some
say-
clarifications that need to be addressed, so I think.
It would take a lot of convincing for me, as one board member, to approve an application with a shared driveway. And I know it's easier for you, but it's not easier for the people living at home 30 years from now.
It's, you know, it's, in considering all this, it's not really an ease of, for us, it's really about what's approvable, right? So a driveway, again, just to give you some background, like to put a driveway through here, you know, and I don't know if the board would weigh in on the height of walls that be needed for something like this, to put a separate driveway just for this lot, but it would aesthetically be appealing.
That may bring us to the conversation, is it appropriate to have two houses on that lot then, even though you have the square footage for it? But if the solution for it is a shared driveway, it's concerning because, again, who's going to maintain that? Who's going to shovel it? Who's going to do all this stuff? And you are going to be the owner, or whoever's going to be the owner. But that house is going to sell in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years at some point. And you may have two different lots now, two different owners. How do you handle that? we're always thinking about the future homeowners as well.
So we're in school of sharing this care.
Come up to the mic.
There's an existing easement now. My name is Gregory Kussoff, and that's my partner, John Zacco. We own the property. There's an easement now that's in the deed that already gives that road, that driveway. It's already in the deed.
You have an easement on the property.
That lets to go to get to the house on 51 Westchester.
Because it's currently 2 lots, and you have to cross the vacant lot in order to get over to the lot with the house.
Correct.
As it is now.
Correct.
The other side shows it.
And
Well-
apparently that lot also has an easement for that other driveway that goes up.
Up to Albany, correct.
Yeah, it's odd, but it still doesn't make me comfortable.
No, I understand.
But that doesn't really mean anything. Okay.
There's a sign above Kensington that says private road.
Oh, no, none of
Is
the.
that another Davidson Drive?
Could be, I don't know, like those signs, who knows who put the sign there, what it means, we can look into it all.
Yeah, it's a yellow sign, says private road,
Yeah.
right above it, and
So we want to send this out to city staff, to town staff for review, engineering, and,
Yes.
okay.
So, the primary issue here is how you would engineer this. The legal side of this, there's ways to deal with that. Some better than others, as we heard earlier this evening, but it's really about engineering. So I have no doubt that Nick's gone through alternatives and so forth, but you share those with us, so we know that what you've done is the best option available.
But we're also going to need them to weigh in on whether a building coverage and building height variance
So not
is
necessarily,
required.
so that's not your issue.
Okay.
Those would be building permits, the lots exist.
Okay.
They could file building permits today. The problem is getting access into those lots, which requires the steep slope permits.
Yeah. But building coverage, it's also will not be an issue. We are, like I said, we're just a little bit over the 20% allowed. We're going to just take a look at that and make sure it's compliant before we get to the building stage, so.
Okay, so a little bit more work to do. But, okay, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? We're good to go.
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed, you can stay.